Pokemon Nuzlocks are a thing that everybody knows. You catch the first Pokemon you encounter in each area, you nickname it, and if it faints, it's gone. But what if, instead of catching the first Pokemon, you stole a Pokemon from one of the trainers in that area? For this Nuzlocke challenge, I used an action replay code that allows me to steal Pokemon from other trainers. This code has a few quirks. Most notably, when you steal a Pokemon, the battle ends immediately, even if it's not their last Pokemon. Because of this, I made it a rule that I was not allowed to steal a Pokemon from another trainer unless it was their final Pokemon and also below half HP. Other rules I followed are that I could only choose one trainer per route to steal from, and also I had to win every rival battle, galactic admin battle, gym battle, elite four battle, and champion battle by stealing their last Pokemon. The last rule is that I had to name the Pokemon after the NPC that I stole it from. So for example, if I steal Youngster Joey's Rattata, I have a Rattata named Joey. With all that out of the way, let's get into the challenge. Right off the bat, I stole Piplup from Professor Rowan and then bodied Barry, but because I did not have Pokeballs yet, I could not actually steal his Pokemon. I named Piplup Rowan, I got Pokeballs from Dawn, and now the fun begins. On the next route, I stole my very first Pokemon, Youngster Logan's Burmy. Now, Burmy's not that great, but he was the final trainer on the route, and I kind of had to at this point. In Jubilife, I stole School Kid Harrison's Starly, grabbed the Pokédex, and then went to battle Barry again. Now, because this was a major battle, I had to steal his final Pokemon. Rowan knocked out Starly with Bubble, and then I weakened his Turtwig to below half HP and started throwing Pokeballs. After 3 balls, it worked, and I stole Barry's Turtwig. Also, with this battle, I came to the realization that I did not actually gain money or experience when I stole a Pokemon, which didn't bother me, it's just another aspect of the challenge I didn't know was there. After Barry, I detoured to the route above Jubilife, stole last Sarah's Shinx, and then stole a Picnicker Diana's Bidoof in Orberg Gate. I then headed to Orberg Mine where I stole Worker Colin's Machop, which instantly replaced Logan the Burmy. I quickly grinded my team to level 12, and now it was time to try and steal from the very first gym leader, Rourke. Rowan easily bodied both Geodude and Onix without even taking a hit. But then came the Cranidos. I got it below half HP, but by then, Rowan only had 3 health remaining. Headbutt did way too much damage for a potion to matter, and it had Pursuit in case I tried to swap out. I threw a Great Ball with my fingers crossed, but of course it failed, and Cranidos killed Rowan with Pursuit, making it my very painful first death. With Rowan down, I sent out Barry because of its high defense stat. At this point, I realized that because of how the stealing code works, it did not consume Pokeballs when I used them. I took full advantage of this and threw another Great Ball, which actually worked, and I stole Rourke's Cranidos and won the Coal Badge at the cost of my starter Pokemon. By the way, if you are enjoying the video so far, feel free to leave a like and subscribe if you are not already, because there are definitely more videos like this coming in the future. With Rourke defeated, I filled the newly emptied slot in my team with his Cranidos and then headed back to Jubilife City. I bodied the Galactic Grunts and made my way north where Harrison evolved into a Staravia. Next, in Floaroma Town, I battled a few Galactic Grunts, stole one of their Zubats, and then headed to Valley Windworks to battle Mars. Herpruggly was a massive threat. The damage output from Fake Out and Scratch were hard to handle, but after 2 Karate Chops from Colin, I got it below half HP and then swapped to Barry to take hits a bit better. It took almost all of my Super Potions and quite a few Pokeballs, but after a while I managed to steal Mars' Purugly, which instantly replaced Diana. I made my way along the next route, stealing Camper Jacob's Ponyta, evolving Barry into a Grottle and Sarah into a Luxio. And next, it was pain. So I decided to single battle one of the Psychics to make it easier to steal a Pokemon, but their Abra had a hidden power super effective on Rourke, one-shotting it from full HP. Rourke was easily the Pokemon I wanted to use the most, so this one hurt a lot. Pain out of the way, I stole Psychic Cody's Meditite and then made it to Eterna City, where I sadly laid Rourke to rest in the Heck Box. Because the Grass Gym was next, I added Jacob the Ponyta to my team and then grinded my team to level 20. It was now time to try and steal one of Gardenia's Pokemon. Between Harrison and Jacob, I was able to easily knock out her Turtwig and Cherim, leaving just Roserade as her last Pokemon. One Flame Wheel from Jacob brought it below half, and I started throwing balls. Luckily, the second ball worked, stealing Gardenia's Roserade and winning the Forest Badge. Oh, also, if you see it say the wrong Pokemon name on the caught message at all, ignore it, it's just part of the action replay code. Gardenia defeated, it was now time for another major battle against Jupiter. And Jupiter was a problem. Her Skuntank's Night Slash did way too much damage, and I literally had to sack Sarah the Luxio just to get Mars healed to full HP. With Mars at full health, I was able to get Skuntank below half HP and then swap into Jacob, who tanked hits way better than I expected. I got lucky again and stole Jupiter's Skuntank on the second Great Ball. I tragically put Sarah in the Heck Box and added the newly stolen Jupiter the Skuntank to the team, because she was already leveled and clearly hit like a truck. After that, I stole Birdkeeper Alexander's Hoot Hoot, Cyclist Axel's Pikachu, Youngster Wayne's Shellos, Camper Anthony's Chimchar, and Artist William's Bonsly. And upon getting to Hearthome City, I decided to drop Colin for Anthony the Chimchar because Infernape is way cooler than Machoke. And now it was time for the third gym. I went into Fantina slightly underleveled, but between Jupiter and Mars, her team did not stand a chance. I decided to use Poison Gas on Mismagius instead of attacking it directly to avoid one-shotting it, and once below half HP, it took 3 balls, but I stole Fantina's Mismagius, winning the Relic Badge. Immediately after the gym, I replaced Jacob the Ponyta with Fantina's Mismagius because it offered a unique typing and a super lit moveset. I knew a battle against Barry was coming up, so I quickly evolved Anthony into a Monferno and then went to take him on. His Staravia got one-shot by Jupiter, and Buizel got one-shot by his very own starter Pokemon. Ponyta got blown back by Fantina's Shadow Ball, and then one Shadow Ball brought his Grotto below half HP. This steal, though, was not so easy. It took well over 10 Great Ball throws, and I nearly lost Anthony to a crit in the process, but I eventually managed to steal a second Grotto from Barry. Now, for exact duplicates like Barry's Grottle or Mars's Perugly, for instance, I would put them in a separate box and not use them since I wanted to avoid using duplicate Pokemon. On the next route, Breeder Jennifer had an Eevee as her last Pokemon. I immediately stole that because Glaceon is my favorite Pokemon and I would love to use one late game. I avoided stealing a Pokemon on Route 210 because I could come back and steal one later past the Psyduck, but on Route 215, I stole a Ralts from Ace Trainer Maya. And now it was time for the 4th gym, so I grinded my team to level 29 and then challenged Maylene. I lead Fantina a one-shotting Meta-type with Shadow Ball. Machoke went down to 2 Psybeams, and then I whittled down her Lucario with Psybeam until it's below half HP. I start throwing Ultra Balls, and after 5 throws, I managed to steal Maylene's Lucario, winning the Cobble Badge. This was easily the coolest Pokemon I'd stolen so far, but I didn't need it right now, so I didn't change my team at all. After Maylene, I bodied some Galactic Grunts, grabbed Fly, and headed to Route 214. This route had a few Collected Trainers, which always have rare Pokemon. I ended up stealing Collector Douglas's Vaporeon, and then immediately after, I evolved Barry into a Torterra, which learned Earthquake. I then stole Fisherman Kenneth's Gyarados and Clown Lee's Mime Jr., and went into my next battle against Barry. I lead off with my newly evolved Barry the Torterra, hoping to force him into his Grottle earlier on, and it actually worked. I took out his Staravia and Ponyta with Barry, though it took quite a few potions. With those two down, he then went into Grottle, which I took out with Anthony, and his last Pokemon was Buizel, which I weakened with Jupiter and stole in my first Netball. After Barry, I stole Collector Dean's Espeon, grinded my team for a bit, and then went to challenge Crasher Wake. I knew he let off with a Gyarados, so I taught Fantina Shockwave and let off with her. Fantina survived a bite and then knocked out the Gyarados, and then next was his Floatzel. Brian was doing far too much damage to Jupiter, so I sent in Mars, but the Floatzel crit Mars twice in a row, killing her, ruining my hopes and dreams. I knew Floatzel had Ice Fang, but at this point I had to go into Barry anyways. Fortunately, Barry managed to tank an Ice Fang and then knocked out Floatzel with Razor Leaf. Quagsire was Wake's last Pokemon, which I weakened with Bite, stolen a single Netball, winning the Fen Badge with a tragic loss. With Wake beaten, I sadly put Mars in the Heck Box and then added Wake's Quagsire to my team. I then head back to Route 210, cure the Psyduck, and because I did not steal a Pokemon here before, I'm now able to steal Ninja Boy Brennan's Skorupi. Next was my first battle against Cyrus. Anthony knocked out Sneasel and Wake knocked out Golbat, but then his stupid Murkrow crits Jupiter and kills her with a Dropek. My whole entire heart was hurting at this point, bro. Both Galactic Commander Pokemon gone back-to-back, both the critical hits. I had to use Barry against Murkrow to get off a Leech Seed and then hard swap into a low HP Wake who barely survived Dropek on 1 HP. While trying to steal this Murkrow, I literally used all of my healing items and I had one chance to steal it before Wake died. Fortunately, the very last Ultra Ball I could throw worked and I stole Cyrus's Murkrow at the cost of one of my most reliable Pokemon so far. I unfortunately put Jupiter in the Heck Box and added the newly stolen Brennan to my team because it would eventually be the same typing as Jupiter and it was also immune to critical hits, which was beyond tempting at this point. On the way to Canalave, I stole Guitarist Tony's Magnemite and then grinded my Pokemon to prepare for the upcoming battle against Barry. During grinding, Anthony evolved into Infernape and Harrison evolved into Staraptor. Against Barry, I knew he had a Heracross this time, so I let off with Harrison, hoping it would cause him to go into Heracross last. Harrison bodied Staraptor and Rapidash, but then Barry, for some reason, sent in Heracross anyways. I knocked out Heracross with Aerial Ace, bodied Torterra as well, and then his last Pokemon was Floatzel, which I weakened below half, stole my first ball, and then immediately put in the Dukes box. It was now time for Byron. My team at this point had 2 ground types and a fire fighting type, so I did not expect too much of a challenge. Turn 1, Wake knocked out the Magneton with Earthquake and then knocked out Steelix with 2 Surfs. Unfortunately, Steelix was the Pokemon that I wanted to steal, but Bastiodon would have to do. I did not want to get hit by a Metal Burst, so I used Yawn to sleep the Bastiodon and then used Surf to get it below half HP. Once below half, I threw a single Ultra Ball and stole Byron's Bastiodon, winning the Mind Badge. Byron beat and I stopped by Iron Island where I grabbed Strength and stole Worker Brendan's Steelix to make up for the one that I just missed out on. I then headed to Lake Valor to battle Saturn. I took out Golbat with Harrison and Bronzor with Anthony and then went into Wake to weaken Toxicroak. I got it below half with Surf, and then it used Revenge, which one-shot Wake from basically full HP. I was like super devastated at this point because it felt like my favorite team members were going down one by one. With Wake unfortunately gone, I go into Berry and then throw a single Dusk Ball and steal Saturn's Toxicroak. I unfortunately have to put Wake in the Heck Box and then add Wayne the Shellos to my team because it replaces the typing perfectly. Now, because these Galactic Commanders had level 40s, I grind my team for a bit and evolved Wayne into a Gastrodon and Brendan into a Drapion. After grinding, I went to take on Mars. Golbat and Bronzor went down super easily, and then Brennan got Purugly below half, and I stole it in 1 Ultra Ball. Now, even though my first Purugly from Mars is dead, I still put this one in the dupes box and I wouldn't use it. On the path of Snow Point City, I had some incredible steals. On Route 216, I stole a Porygon 2 from Ace Trainer Blake, and then on Route 217, I found Skier Lexi, who has a Glaceon that I stole. Now, I was saving that Eevee from earlier for a Glaceon because it is my favorite Pokemon, but with this, I wouldn't have to. With Candace's gym next, I grinded my team to above level 40, and then went the Challenger. Brennan's Rock Smash knocked out Sneasel in 2 hits, and then Wayne's Surf knocked out Piloswine. Next, Abomasnow got blown back by Anthony's Flame Wheel, and then it was time for this Frostlass. I don't know who at Game Freak decided that this Frostlass needed Snow Cloak and Double Team in Permanent Hail, but I would love to have a word or two with them. This Frostlass managed to get the +6 evasion without me landing a single hit, and then it instantly crits Anthony with Psychic, one-shotting the best Pokemon on my team as if it was nothing. I go into Brennan to stall out her Blizzards with Hyper Potions because she could not crit me because of the battle armor. While stalling Blizzards, however, Brennan got frozen and then had his special defense drop by Shadow Ball, so I had to swap back and forth between Brennan and Harrison while waiting for Brennan to thaw. After thawing, it took all the PP on Thief and 2 Poison Fangs, but eventually I land the moves necessary to get Frostlass below half. Despite how unlucky the rest of this trash battle was, I managed to steal Candace's Frostlass with the second Ultra Ball, winning the Icicle Badge. After that very painful battle, I put Anthony in the Heck Box and then replaced him with Maylene's Lucario. I quickly grinded up Maylene to match the rest of the team and then headed to the Galactic base. The grunts went down super easily and then it was time to battle Cyrus. Maylene dodges a Screech and then one-shot Sneasel with Aura Sphere. Maylene then barely survives the Drill Peck from Honchkrow and then takes it out with an Aura Sphere and a close combat. His final Pokemon was Crobat, which I weakened with Brandon and then stole in my first Ultra Ball. I know I had a Zubat earlier, but this is my first time stealing Cyrus's bat, so I didn't count it as a duplicate. Immediately after Cyrus was a battle against Saturn. I knocked out Golbat with Fantina and then Bronzor with Brandon, and his last was Toxicroak, which I weakened with Brennan's Rock Climb and then stole once again in my first Ultra Ball. After the base, I replaced Fantina with Tony the Magnemite because I knew Cyrus's final team had a lot of flying types, and at this point I had nothing to counter that. On the way to Spear Pillar, I evolved Tony into a Magnezone and then grinded it up to match the rest of my team. Once at Spear Pillar, there was a double battle against Jupiter and Mars. Now, something I had no idea about was that Jupiter's stupid Golbat has Giga Drain. I was spamming Surf all battle because I don't care about Barry's Pokemon, and then that stupid bat Giga Drained in one-shot Wayne. Being upset, I go into Tony and click Discharge, wiping the entire field. I knew Jupiter's Skuntank had Flamethrower, so I predict that and go into Harrison, and the Skuntank crits Harrison and one-shots it. My favorite mons were dropping like flies, and it was beyond upsetting. Since I didn't want to be crit again, I went into Brennan and then stole Jupiter's Murder of a Skuntank. Now, because that was a double battle, I was not able to steal from Mars, but Jupiter would have to do. 2 insanely important team members gone, I head back to Orberg City and grab Cyrus the Crobat and Douglas the Vaporeon, because both Surf and Fly were pretty necessary. I grinded them up and went to the Distortion World to battle Cyrus. I lead Douglas, which crits Houndoom and one-shots it. I Sand Attack Gyarados to -6 accuracy and then bait out an Ice Fang and then swap into Tony. Fortunately, Tony dodges the Earthquake and then knocks out Gyarados with a Discharge. I knew Honchkrow had Heat Wave, so I go into Brennan to avoid losing Tony. The Honchkrow, of course, is over half HP to Brennan, so I spam Hyper Potions, but eventually, I give up on healing and go into Cyrus, who takes it way better than I thought it would, and then gets a super lucky crit Poison Fang, knocking out Honchkrow. He goes into Weavile next, which kind of sucked because that was the Pokemon that I wanted to steal, but I one-shot Weavile with Maylene and then weaken Crobat with Tony and then start throwing balls. This Crobat took well over 25 balls to steal, but eventually I got it, stealing my second Crobat in a row from Cyrus. Cyrus defeated, I bought a Giratina and then headed to Sunny Shore City, stealing a child's Remoraid along the way. I taught Brennan Dig, and then I went to take on Volkner. Turn 1, I one-shot Jolteon with Barry's Earthquake, and then knocked out his Raichu with another Earthquake. He then goes into Luxray, so I swap into Brennan and use Dig, which does way less than I thought it would. Thunderfang does just under half HP to Brennan, and because I can't get crit, I can safely knock out Luxray with Dig, while healing with Hyper Potions. His last Pokemon was Electivire. I healed Brennan and then used Dig twice, bringing it below half HP. I then throw a single Ultra Ball and steal Volker's Electivire, winning the Beacon Badge. I really didn't expect to come out of that battle without a death, to be honest, but I'm glad that I did. On my way to the Pokemon League, I stole Swimmer Ricardo's Tentacruel and Psychic Bryce's Gengar. Once I reached the league, it was time for the final battle against Barry. I lead Douglas and click Aurora Beam as Barry U-turns his Torterra into a 4x effective move. I use Aurora Beam again as Torterra misses a Leaf Storm, which definitely saved me because I thought that I would outspeed him. After Torterra, he goes into Snorlax, so I swap into Maylene and one-shot it with Close Combat. Next is Rapidash, which I knock out with 2 Surfs from Douglas after barely surviving a bounce. Staraptor comes out again just to U-turn into Heracross, which I knock out with Cyrus's Fly. He sends in Floatzel and then freezes Tony with Ice Fang, so I swap into Barry and knock out Floatzel with Razor Leaf after eating an Ice Fang. The final Pokemon is Staraptor, which I weaken with Crunch from Brennan. Once weakened, I caught in an Ultra Ball, which totally would have gotten Brennan killed if it failed because I stupidly forgot to heal. Being at the end of the game now, I went around the region gathering TMs, and then I completely changed my team in preparation for the Elite Four. My new team consisted of Volkner's Electivire, Gardenia's Roserade, Fantina's Mismagius, Cyrus's Honchkrow, Skier Lexi's Glaceon, and Swimmer Ricardo's Tentacruel. With my new team, I went to take on Aaron. I lead off with Volkner and just absolutely destroy his entire team until Drapion, which I weakened with an Earthquake and stole after a few Ultra Balls. The Drapion said it was a bad egg, but the game let me progress, so I ignored it. I learned in that battle, though, that I did not want to have to use a lot of balls against the Elite Four members. Their Pokemon did way too much damage, and I would just lose Mons if it took too long. Next up was Bertha. I lead Gardenia and one-shot her Whiscash and then send out Lexi against her Gliscor. I then very stupidly use Ice Beam when already below half HP from another Earthquake, but thankfully she gets a low roll and Lexi survives in knocking out Gliscor. With Gliscor down, Gardenia one-shots Golem and Rhyperior, and then her last was Hippowdon. This Hippowdon could hit almost my entire team super effectively and could either one-shot or two-shot everything. I had no safe way out of this, so I threw an Ultra Ball and hoped, and luckily I stole it on the first ball. Otherwise, I would have had some potentially game-ending losses. The third Elite Four member was Flint. I lead Ricardo and knock out Houndoom with Surf. I then swap into Fantina to dodge Earthquake and then use Psybeam as I nearly get one-shot by Flare Blitz. I tried to heal spam to let Infernape go down to Recoil, but I'm an idiot and I forgot that it has Blaze, and Fantina gets one-shot by the next Flare Blitz. I was planning on using Fantina for Lucian, so I was actually kind of worried at that point. I finished Infernape off with a Sucker Punch from Cyrus and then swap into Volkner. Magmortar gets one-shot by a crit Earthquake from Volkner, and then Volkner crits again and knocks out the Flareon. 2 in a row, bro. His last Pokemon was Rapidash, which I weakened with Thunder Punch and then once again steal in my first Ultra Ball, even though it was in the air from Bounce. The fourth and final Elite Four member, Lucian. I lead Cyrus and one-shot Mr. Mime with Night Slash. I click Drill Peck against Gallade, not realizing it has Stone Edge. Fortunately, I live on 2 HP and knocked out Gallade in one hit. Espeon and Alakazam both go down to Sucker Punch and Night Slash, and his last Pokemon was Bronzong. I weakened Bronzong with Night Slash and Sucker Punch and once again steal it in my first Ultra Ball. Honestly, insane catching luck on this Elite Four. And now it was time for what is considered to be one of the hardest battles in any Pokemon game. Cynthia. She leads Spiritomb, which can't touch Cyrus, so I 1v1 it with Night Slash. And then I Toxic Stole her Togekiss with Ricardo, hoping it would make her go into Roserade next, but instead she went Garchomp anyways. I wanted to steal the Garchomp to match the thumbnail, but the AI did not like that idea. I went into Cyrus trying to dodge an Earthquake, but then I take 80% from a Dragon Rush instead. I heal spam hoping to dodge one, but of course, me being me, I get crit instead and Cyrus dies. I send out Lexi, tank an Earthquake, and then one-shot Garchomp with Ice Beam. Her next Pokemon is Lucario. I send in Gardenia to stall Extreme Speeds and Stone Edges, but of course, once again, I get crit by Stone Edge, killing Gardenia as well. I stalled out the rest of the Stone Edges with Ricardo, causing Cynthia to swap into Milotic. Milotic can't touch Ricardo, so I'm able to beat it pretty easily. She then goes into Roserade, but I knew I needed Ricardo to survive for Lucario, so I go into Volkner and take over half HP from Energy Ball. At this point, I didn't think I had any hope of Volkner surviving, so I used the turn to heal Ricardo and let Volkner go down. I knocked out Roserade with Ice Beam and then swapped into Ricardo against Lucario. I weakened it below half, and with one Ultra Ball, I stole Cynthia's Lucario and her place as champion. And with that, I have won my Pokemon Platinum Nuzlocke by stealing from every major trainer in the game. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more videos like it in the future, like the video, subscribe if you're not already, comment down below any challenges you might want to see in the future. But for now, thank you everybody for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Later.